There comes a moment in life that doesn't look dramatic from the outside. You're still going to work, still answering messages, still showing up for people. But something inside you has stopped cooperating. You can feel it in small ways at first. The conversations that used to feel easy now feel exhausting. The things you used to tolerate now feel heavier than they should. And the version of yourself that everyone seems comfortable with starts to feel strangely distant. Not wrong, just not you anymore. For a long time, you learned how to be the good one, the one who listens, the one who understands, the one who keeps things calm. You became skilled at reading the room, adjusting your tone, smoothing over tension before it escalated. People trusted you, relied on you, felt safe around you. And maybe you took pride in that. But what no one saw was the quiet cost of being that person. Because every time you softened yourself to make someone else comfortable, something inside you had to tighten. Every time you stayed silent when you had something real to say, a part of you stepped back. Not disappeared completely, just moved further away. At first, it doesn't feel like a problem. It feels like maturity, like emotional intelligence, like being easy to be around. But over time, it becomes something else. You start feeling tired in a way that rest doesn't fix. Not physically, but internally. Like you're always managing something, always adjusting, always holding yourself in a shape that no longer fits. And then, one day, something shifts. Not loudly, not all at once, but clearly. You find yourself in a situation that used to be normal for you. Someone expects you to agree, to understand, to make things easier. And for the first time, you hesitate. Not because you don't know what to say, but because you finally do. And it doesn't match who you've been. That moment can feel confusing, because nothing bad has happened, no crisis, no breaking point, just a quiet realization. I don't want to keep doing this. And that realization can be more unsettling than any external conflict. Because now the tension isn't outside of you, it's inside, between who you've been and who you're starting to become. This is where many people turn back. They smooth things over again, say what's expected, return to the familiar version of themselves. Because it works. It keeps relationships stable, avoids awkwardness, prevents conflict. But there's a price. And if you've reached this point, you already know what it is. It's the quiet feeling of leaving yourself behind. If you stay in that pattern long enough, something deeper begins to push back. Not as anger, not as rebellion, but as resistance. You begin to feel it in your body, a tightness in conversations, a heaviness before certain interactions, a subtle sense of dread before being around certain people. It's not random, it's information. Because there are parts of you that were never meant to disappear. Your honesty, your preferences, your limits. They were just postponed. And now they're asking to be included. This is the moment many people misunderstand. They think something is wrong. They think they're becoming difficult, less patient, less kind. But what's actually happening is much simpler. You're becoming more accurate, more aligned with what you feel, more aware of what drains you, more honest about what you need. And that shift, even if it's quiet, changes everything. Because once you see it, you can't unsee it. You notice how often you say yes when you mean not really. You notice how often you explain yourself just to avoid discomfort. You notice how much energy it takes to maintain certain dynamics. And slowly, you begin to question things you once accepted without thinking. Not in a dramatic way, but in a steady, grounded way. You pause more. You respond more deliberately. You stop filling every silence. And sometimes, you say less. Not because you have nothing to say, but because you're no longer trying to manage how others feel about you. This is where the external world may start to react. People notice. Some feel closer to you because they're finally meeting the real version of you. Others feel uncomfortable because they were used to a version of you that required less from them. Less awareness, less adjustment, less responsibility. And here, you face a quiet but important choice. Do you return to who you were to keep things smooth? Or do you stay with who you are becoming, even if it changes the dynamic? There's no perfect answer, but there is an honest one. And it doesn't come from strategy. It comes from how you feel when you imagine each path. One feels familiar, but heavy. The other feels uncertain, but true. If you choose to stay with yourself, things may not become easier right away. Some relationships may shift. Some expectations may fall away. You may feel moments of doubt. But something else begins to happen too. You feel lighter. Not because life got simpler, but because you stopped carrying what was never yours to hold. You start to trust your own reactions again. You don't override your instincts as quickly. You don't dismiss your discomfort as easily. You begin to take yourself seriously, in a quiet, grounded way. And that changes how you move through the world. You don't need to prove as much, explain as much, or justify as much. You're still kind, still thoughtful, still present. But now, there's a center to you, something steady, something that doesn't shift based on who you're around. And that's the part no one really talks about. The goal was never to stop being a good person. It was to stop being a person who disappears in the process. So if you feel that quiet resistance inside you, that sense that something no longer fits, it's not a problem to fix. It's a signal to listen to. Because somewhere along the way, you adapted to survive, to belong, to be accepted. And now, a deeper part of you is asking for something else. Not perfection, not control, just honesty. And maybe that's where this begins. Not with a big decision, but with something much smaller. The next time you feel the urge to agree automatically, pause. The next time you feel yourself about to explain too much, stop. And just notice, what do I actually want right now? You don't have to act on it immediately. Just noticing is enough to start. Because that's how you return. Not all at once, but piece by piece. And over time, those small moments add up, until one day, you realize something has changed. Not in how others see you, but in how you experience yourself. You're no longer performing, you're present. And from that place, a different kind of life becomes possible. Not perfect, not easy, but real. If this resonated with you, not just as an idea, but as something you felt, then you're not alone. There are more conversations like this here. Not to tell you who to become, but to help you stay connected to who you already are. You can stay if you'd like.